Hello there, you know me, I'm Callum Johns, obviously as the channel name says. Now, I was considering not even doing a video for this, but then I thought, well, I guess I should do a video. Because it has been the anniversary of the decanonization of the expanded universe. And I thought I'd just highlight a few things, because by this time, it's been 6 years since Lucasfilm decanonized the expanded universe to make way for a new timeline on 25th of April 2014. And that's not to say that the timeline has been completely shut off, but a lot of the production of content dropped. The only things we got afterwards were Son of Dathomir. We got a few short stories, and we did get Marvel Star Wars issue 108. And the main thing we got is a continuation of Star Wars The Old Republic MMO, which is still going on to this day, and we're expecting another expansion sometime in the future. Hopefully before the contract ends. But hey, you never know. But yeah, we're getting a few things, like there's some GameStop figurines from The Force Unleashed as well, and we've had Jaina Solo and Black Series Revan. They're both Black Series. They won Hasbro Fan Choice polls before that ended up not being a viable option for getting EU figures done. What I found myself thinking of this time is just how much I've gotten used to the EU being decanonized. And the whole thing of like me going, well, if it's not continued, and I'm still experiencing all of this stuff for the first time. And that's one of the big things for me, as well as I'm reading through the X-Wing series for the first time. Because there's a lot of the EU that I read when I was younger that was just from Wikipedia. Didn't actually read the content myself. Whatever comics I got a hold of, but I wasn't as intentional about it, because of course I'm a kid, I get what I can. And so there's a lot of stuff that I've found that I'm thinking of that's going, I'm experiencing the EU for the first time. This has lasted me over 6 years already of reading EU, and this will last me for years to come. And if we don't get anything else, I'm at least happy with what we have now, because we've got great stories, and there's always speculation about how certain character stories would have ended and all that. But yeah, I found myself thinking just how used to it I've gotten, like going, alright, I'm talking about this is an older EU thing, all of the stuff's old, but now, technically, by modern conventions. But I've found myself quite interested in my own thought process with going, okay, this is normal now. I'm reading the EU, chronologically started in 2016, I started reading it a lot more when they decanonized it, intentionally. And I started reading chronologically in 2016, and that's why my EU review series started later on, because I went, well, I don't really want to go all the way back to reread something when I've got so much new stuff to explore. And it's the same with the video games. A lot of them I haven't played all the way through. I've played heaps of some of them because I've had them as a child and I've been like, this is awesome, I love it so much. But then others I haven't even touched. So there's that. Also, I was watching a video of saying how you can support the Star Wars EU Legends timeline. Legends is now the label for it. Even though I say EU all the time, I just like calling it EU because that's what it was officially called. But anyway, the way you can support it, buy EU, you can buy ones with the Legends banner on them, would actually show that the reprints are selling more. SWTOR's getting expansions. The biggest thing for me is talking about the EU. The day the EU truly dies is when people stop talking about it. And that's part of the reason that I started my channel, as well as I'm like, I love seeing other people's reviews. I like seeing gaming stuff, but I want people to keep talking about the expanded universe. And so let's do that. I'm reading through the X-Wing novels. I had no one in real life to really talk in depth about these things, and so I went to online, and that's turning out brilliantly. The Expanded Universe Book Club has actually been quite an interesting experience with that, because it's been really good with being able to talk to people and do that. And just overall, I feel like, to be honest, I'm a bit skeptical about if the EU will ever actually be properly continued. I think SWTOR's just tying up the loose ends, ready for the contract to end, and then the next expansion should be the last one. And then we will truly not have any more new EU stuff. Because the people say it's dead. I mean, Star Wars is dead. Not quite accurate. Things are still coming out for it. It just isn't the Star Wars that we used to know. My main thing in this time is just talk about it, reach out to people, go to EU groups, talk about it, actually read through and experience the things, because I know there's people in EU groups that are just there because they like one or two things. There are those people there that have only played Force Unleashed, played KOTOR, and then think of themselves as EU fans, but I would definitely implore those people to be going out and actually reading the content, getting the really good stories, because the good stories will hook you in. And even if you're not a fan of reading as such, even though I don't really believe in that, I believe you just have to find the right kind of story and the right kind of book you're interested in to like reading. Even if you haven't read much, even if you're not a huge fan of just sitting down with a book, you'll be able to experience great stories, and maybe even listen to audiobooks, because I'm not as big an audiobook person, to be able to listen to that as you go through your daily life and whatever, but there's options. Definitely don't just look up Wikipedia. Wikipedia can be inaccurate with the summaries and that still. Talk about it. Read the stories. What EU haven't you read? Make a list and read it. Or if you know it, going chronologically, you go through that. I know a lot of my knowledge is lacking in the comics department, so I've been trying to work on that. It's just a bit of a slog to get through. Who enjoys comics? But hey, that's how it goes. And it's how you keep the EU alive. It's like, even once the SWTOR expansions are done, even if they don't bring out any more figures that are EU, I think they released a couple of Force Unleashed figures. There's the Jedi Revan figure. Even if they don't release anything else, like, hey, we had Marvel issue 108 as well. That was a big step as far as continuing EU, because we actually got a comic and legitimate continuation from it. But still, that's not as much as going, alright, we're gonna have a new comic series set in the EU, or we're gonna have a new, even standalone novel to see how it sells. Yeah, even probing things like that to see how the market goes for them would be smarter steps than just completely leaving it. But anyway, transition. Looking back, I don't know if I've mentioned it specifically in a video before, but the transition was handled poorly. There was a lot that could have been handled better with that, even just from the going, we've got some stuff that came out after we declared that this decanonization, like Son of Death and Mir and stuff. And the big thing is the Clone Wars 2008 series not being reconciled properly, because I know if the EU was going to be continued, they would have retconned the 2008 Clone Wars series with the rest of the EU. Regardless of what you think of the series, they would have done that if the EU was still canon. And so, yeah, there's a lot that could have been better, but what we have now is what it is. And so I'm just really enjoying that. I can spend time on things that are older, that I haven't been able to cover before, being able to read, being able to play. Because if I was getting new content, I'd be reading that, and I wouldn't have the time to go back to the older content. So I'm actually really appreciating this time to go back to the older content and do that. Anyway, people should talk about the EU. That's pretty much the video. We're still getting a few things for the Star Wars EU, and while we talk about it, the EU is never dead. And now some people would argue about Star Wars being dead from a different point of view, but at the end of the day, Star Wars EU isn't dead. We're talking about it. I'm reviewing it. The book club's going. New people are being introduced to the expanded universe, and there's so many stories there that will last them as long as the new canon goes for. Because there's 37 years of content Never mind a couple of the extra bits and pieces that came out after the decanonization date. But technically like Son of Dathomir was one of them. The SWTOR expansions, definitely worth getting onto. SWTOR as a video game, gameplay is, yeah, whatever. But the story shines through with the class stories, and they're free to play. Experience them. You would have time now, I would assume, since all the quarantine stuff. You have more time to be able to read your novels, comics. You have more time to be able to play your Star Wars video games, especially with Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy out on the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4. And we have Episode 1 Racer coming to the Switch and the PS4 next year, so that'll be awesome. It makes it more accessible for people that don't have all of the accessibility of the PC to be able to buy them on Steam and play them. Or even have a joystick for Episode 1 Racer. Because I have my old joystick, and when I play Episode 1 Racer, I'm going to use the joystick because that is the only way to play Racer. And I've tested it and it works, so that'll be awesome. But yeah, just a bit looking back in it, quick thoughts, even though I rambled a little bit, that happens. Talk about the EU. EU is love, EU is life. If you don't enjoy the new canon, whatever. If you enjoy the new canon, whatever. I'll talk about the EU any day. Talk about it, keep it alive, experience the stories, do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Read the EU! You don't have an excuse. You're in quarantine. You can get the ebooks, you can get the audiobooks, and you can read the EU. That is all.